Hi, today we're going to be moving on to another reading standard, and that is RL.8.3. Analyze how particular lines of dialogue or incidents in a story or drama propel the action, reveal aspects of a character, or provoke a decision. Okay, so a couple keywords here. Analyze, which you already know. We know that that is a close, detailed examination. We know that dialogue is when characters are talking. What's an incident? Just an event. Propel, what does it mean to propel something? That would be to move something forward. So how does dialogue or other events in a story move the action forward, propel the action? Reveal aspects, things about a character, or provoke, cause a decision. So lots of keywords here. It makes it sound a lot more complicated than it really is. So just to recap that, dialogue refers to the words spoken between characters in a story. In fiction, dialogue is enclosed in quotation marks. In drama, which is like a play, dialogue comes directly after the name of the character who speaks. Dialogue has many purposes. It can establish the setting or the mood of a story. It reveals details about characters, or it moves the plot forward. Authors often use dialogue to create a closer connection between the reader and the characters. So in our very quick example of a drama here, I want you to pay attention while I am reading this quick example. What does the dialogue, and it's all dialogue because it's a snippet from a drama, what does the dialogue reveal about the background of the story, or the background of the characters, the plot, or the just details about the characters? What's our background information? What do we learn about the plot? And what do we learn about the characters? So the setting is Walter and his sister Donna are in a ski resort. Walter has a cast on his right wrist. Do you think Mom will notice? Walter, your wrist is broken. What were you thinking anyhow? Didn't you learn your lesson the last time you tried to ski that course? I had to. Nick dared me. Well, it's Dad you should be worried about. He's the only person who's ever skied down the Triple Diamond without wiping out. He's going to be furious. Do you think long sleeves will hide it? So what do we learn about the background? What do we learn about the plot? What do we learn about the characters? As you can see here, the background we learn is that Walter broke his wrist trying to ski a difficult course, something he has tried once before. His father is the only person who has ever conquered the course. That's some background information we got. As far as plot is concerned, we learned Walter's parents are coming home soon, and he's going to try to hide his injury. And characters, we learn that Walter is a little bit reckless and daring, Donna is very protective, and we know that Dad is an expert skier. So things that you probably already know how to do, but when we're not paying attention carefully or asked explicitly, things we might not think about. So we're going to read a little bit longer passage for you to practice now. The first question that you'll be asked here would be, the story opens with a cheerful scene. How does the dialogue change the mood of the story? So this is an excerpt, meaning a little snippet, and it's adapted, meaning changed, from Dracula's Guest by Bram Stoker. When we started for our drive, the sun was shining brightly on Munich, and the air was full of the joyousness of early summer. Just as we were about to depart, Mr. Delbruck, the owner of the Four Seasons Hotel where I was staying, came down to the carriage and, after wishing me a pleasant drive, said to the coachman, "Remember to be back by nightfall. The sky looks bright, but there is a shiver in the north wind that says there may be a sudden storm. But I am sure you will not be late." Here he smiled and added, "For you know what night is." So how does the dialogue at the end here, end of this introduction, change the mood of the story that was originally kind of bright and cheerful? All right, as I read this part of it, keep in mind what background information does the dialogue provide. So unlike our beginning example about the ski resort, this story is not all dialogue. We have to pay attention to what specifically the dialogue provides for us. So he said, remember, you know what night brings. Johann answered with an empathetic, yes, sir, and touching his hat, drove off quickly. When we had cleared the town, I said, after asking him to stop, tell me, Johann, what is tonight? He answered quickly, witch's night, and started off rapidly, as if to make up for lost time. Every now and then the horses seemed to throw up their heads and sniff the air suspiciously. On such occasions I often looked round in alarm. The road on which we rode was pretty bleak, but as we drove I saw a road that led through a little winding valley. It looked so inviting that, even at the risk of offending him, I called Johann to stop, and descended from the carriage to get a better look. Tell me, I said, about this place where the road leads, and I pointed down. He grew visibly nervous and mumbled a prayer before he answered, it is cursed. What is cursed? I inquired. The village. Then there is a village. No one has lived there for hundreds of years. His evasiveness only heightened my curiosity. Another question you're going to have to look to answer here, what kind of character is the narrator? But you said there was a village. There was. Where is it now? I demanded. Whereupon he burst out into a long story in German and English, so mixed up that I could not quite understand exactly what he said. He was evidently afraid to speak the last words. As he proceeded with his narration, he grew more and more excited. It seemed as if his imagination had got hold of him, and he ended almost paralyzed by fear, white-faced, perspiring, trembling, and looking around him as if expecting that some dreadful presence would set upon us there in the bright sunshine on the open plain. Finally, in an agony of desperation, he cried, "Witch's night!" and pointed to the carriage for me to get in. Standing back, I said, "You are afraid, Johann. You are afraid. Go home. I shall return alone. The walk will do me good." The carriage door was open. I took from the seat my oak walking stick, which I always carry on my holiday excursions, and closed the door, pointing back to Munich, and said, "Go home, Johann. Witch's night doesn't concern Englishmen." After giving the direction home, I turned to go down the crossroad into the valley. Last question to answer here. Why do you think the narrator does not sympathize with Johann's fear?